guys down with that? I should make sure that this is working first. Let's see. If I unmute this, Michael can hear you. It's working. All right, here we go. I'm going to need silence for like 5 seconds, starting now. So usually when I say silence, that includes like mouse clicking, but not typing on the keyboard. Whatever.
Welcome to the weekly episode of the Freelancer Codex podcast. Your host, Steven, and co-hosts Mike, Devon, and JD are all set. Join us and tweet your questions at Freelancer Codex. Find us on Facebook at Freelancer Codex, or send emails to freelancercodex@gmail.com. Strap into your javelins and let's drop in.
Welcome, freelancers, to episode... Dang, what episode are we on?
97.
97. Holy cow. Episode 97 of the Freelancer Codex podcast, the longest running Anthem podcast on the internet. I think we're very few Anthem running podcasts on the internet currently, but we are them. We are those that have been here from the beginning, and we will continue to be here to the end, depending on how soon that is. But I'm sure it's not that. I mean, it's gonna be...
Steven, you must be like doped up on medicine or something right now.
He is, man. Don't take anything that Steve says tonight like too seriously. He a little...
You shouldn't ever do that. I mean, we constantly tell JD not to take us seriously. So I would extend that to the people that actually listen to the show. Sometimes we're just off the wall. Sometimes we're medicated, heavily medicated. I should be in bed.
Heavily medicated.
But here we go. Hey, Phaedron, Jay, and Tiff are in the chat hanging out with us today for episode 97. It is the 1st of August. So for all you parents out there who have kids that are going to school, the end is near for the long summers with kids home. That is coming close. Teachers will be going back to school. And hey, it's episode 97. JD could not be with us today. I'm here with Mike and Devon. He had a family emergency that he's attending to. So we are sending thoughts, prayers, thoughts.
Wish him the best, of course.
Wish him and his family the best, and hope you guys also do the same. Real quick, episode 97, there has not been a lot of information to come out the last week. We do have a couple talking points we want to talk about. We're going to talk about some ranger statues that have been seen in the wild. We're going to talk about some data leaks. We're going to talk about a couple other things. We have a listener call from Phaedron that we're going to play for us, and we'll answer Phaedron's questions. He's hanging out with us. So, but at the top of the show, I would like to say, hey, if you want to leave us a voice message, if you want to call in, you can do that at 505-386-7917. Leave us a voicemail. We'll play it on the show because we have that technology working now, finally, after a bunch of troubleshooting and doing all kinds of other fun stuff. But also, kind of a fun announcement, we are actually going to be starting a podcast network. So the Freelancer Codex isn't the only show that the three of us have talked about doing in the past. We always have a bunch of ideas of things we would like to do, different content we want to explore. And in order to do that in an easy way, we figured we should just create a network, bring all of our podcasts into that network, and then provide an easy place for our listeners, new listeners, people to come and find that content. So we are starting a new network. We're calling it the Shut Up and Respawn Network. That name is significant because of Devon. So we were playing games one time, and maybe I shouldn't tell people this. I'll tell people this. So we actually created a podcast like 3 years ago. Has it been 3 years since?
It's been a long time.
It's been longer than 3.
That was like Destiny 1 days, right?
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
So, and this was, it was really bad. So I'm not going to tell people where they can go and find it because it's awful. I actually listened to one of the episodes just to back in my Wayback Machine, but just to give you kind of an idea. So there were 6 of us on Xbox mics. I was somehow piping in all of our recordings onto a computer, probably through Xbox live chat or something, and I was recording it that way. So none of our mics sounded good. It sounded awful. I think 4 of us were playing Destiny at the time we were doing the recording, so there was a good majority of us that were actually distracted while we were doing this, so that was bad. So during one of these recordings, or maybe we weren't recording. I don't know.
No, it was just we were just doing a raid.
Yeah, so we were doing a raid in Destiny, and one of the Justin Page, one of the friends of the show, I guess you could call him friend of the show. I don't know. He doesn't listen anymore. Jerk, Justin, if you hear this, you're a punk.
He's a busy man.
Steve, you're kind of getting off track, buddy. Come on, focus in.
Sorry, I'm
medicine's getting to him.
So, long story short, Devon said, "Shut up and respawn," and that's why we're naming it that. So, I will let.
There's
Devon
so much more to that story.
Yeah, Steve's having a rough go of things. We'll
focus and just get to the point. So I got straight to the point. That's how we do here. So, Devon, you want to explain kind of our first show, what our plan is, and this is kind of just like a teaser. We'll announce everything. We'll send out websites, emails that you can send suggestions into. But Devon, give us a rundown.
Are you want me to give him the name or no? We'll hold off on that.
You can give him the name. I mean, we can call it whatever we want.
That's true. We can call it whatever we want. Yeah. So the one that you'll be hearing if you tune in to listen to it, we're calling it Subs, right? So the basic gist of this podcast is we talk about everything subscription. You know, there's lots of stuff in our life that entertainment and everything we get through subscription service, whether that's Amazon, Netflix, Hulu, Xbox Live, you know, Game Pass, PlayStation Now, Audible, you know, all these things are all in subscriptions. And so there's a lot to talk about, and we subscribe to a lot of different entertainment services. There's going to be new ones coming out, you know, like Disney Plus and all that kind of stuff, with a lot of great content that's coming out. So we wanted to have a place where we could really talk about that because we enjoy talking about that. So this first podcast the additional one that we're going to bring out on our network is going to be Subs, and it's going to be on, there's going to be two episodes a month to start off with, and we're going to focus one on kind of what we call entertainment, and then the other one's going to be on gaming. And entertainment covers movies, TVs, books, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then obviously the gaming is just specifically about video games. And we're kind of giving it space because we want people that listen to be able to kind of cruise along with us, you know, if we're playing a game or we're watching a show. So people have a couple weeks to, you know, enjoy that content for themselves and then kind of talk to us about it and go through that journey with us. So that's kind of the gist.
Yeah, and I think it'll be a lot of fun getting a lot of feedback, you know, maybe do some watch-along episodes, some play-alongs, and kind of go through and maybe even have challenges with listeners, high scores, who beat this, at what time, and, you know, just kind of have a lot of fun with it and have more interactivity with the people that are listening. So this is how to talk. Okay, so yeah, we're really excited about that. So we'll get all that information out to everyone. We'll have a Discord, so we'll do all that fun stuff, announcements here too. Perfect. All right, diving into Anthem stuff. I almost said Destiny. We've been talking about Destiny before the show because Devon's playing Destiny, and we were talking about Destiny in the intro, so I feel like I'm just playing Destiny. But I'm not. So I finally completed Legendary's Freelancer and Anthem. Alaska's in the chat also. Hey, Alaska, used his trick in order to farm all the data pads, which I kind of felt bad about, but then I got over that super fast, and I did. So, quick pro tip for everyone that is trying to complete this: if you spawn in free play right at Fort Tarsus, go under the fort where the tomb is. I forget whose tomb it is. I think it's Artinia's tomb that is actually underneath or is Yavinia's. I don't remember. So there's a tomb of one of the Legionnaires underneath there, and there are data pads that will spawn on either side of that door. If you go collect those data pads, fly into the tomb, fly back out, those data pads will be back. So you can continuously farm them. I was able to farm 15 at a time before they would disappear. I left quick play, came back in, and they were back. Sometimes they wouldn't be there, but if you load up enough times, they'll be there.
And that would show up for all the different factions?
It showed up for all the different factions. Well, I completed the Scar and the Dominion before I started doing the farming route, so it's possible that those aren't there. But I'm pretty sure they are, because Sentinel, the Arcanist, and there's one more that I did under there that I don't remember. I think it might have been the Sentinel, Arcanist, and I forget what the third one was, but I completed 3 of them just by doing that farming route underneath. So go do that. Makes it super easy. Save yourself a ton of time flying around and just looking for things, because really it eats up a ton of time trying to find these things. And that's time you could spend doing strongholds to actually get reputation in order to get Champion of Tarsus. Also, in order to get the last of the runes and the last of the writings, I loaded up a new slot, because you have 3 slots you can save your freelancers into. Loaded up the second one. I just bit my tongue. I took about an hour to get through the tutorial and the other missions that you need in order to be able to see the runes, because you have to do Matthias's first mission in order to see the runes. So that took about an hour. Jump into free play, go collect those super fast. There are tons of writings like right at the beginning of Fort Tarsus. Even underneath by the tomb, there's like 6 of them in there because the mayor threw out a bunch of them that a bunch of kids wrote to him. So they're all underneath there, underneath the fort. So got that done. And now I'm a legendary freelancer, which got me a decal that I'll probably never put on because I don't think it looks very good. 2,000 coin and bragging rights because I'm the only legendary freelancer on the Codex. And probably only the 2% of people on Xbox that have actually.
Is it bragging if the other people don't really care, or?
Hey, Devon, I am a legendary freelancer. Are you?
In my heart, I am. Yes.
Well, glad so it counts. So those are good ways to go ahead and do that stuff. So go
I
do
hope
it.
you all understood that. Steven's explanation was great, obviously, but if you didn't catch it, go ahead and slow us down to 2.5.
He talks at
slow
2
it
times
down.
speed.
He does, and when he's sick, it's worse. So if you do need to go ahead and replay that, go ahead and do that. It was great though, Steve. Everybody understood.
Do people listen to the show on normal speed? I assume that everyone listens to podcasts on 2 times speed.
That's just you. Just you.
You're the only person that does that.
I'm going to disagree. I bet everybody does that. So,
Chat,
Mike,
help us out. When you listen to podcasts, are they at normal speed or do you up the speed? Let us know in the chat.
Let us know.
I'd go to 3 times speed, but some people, yeah. So, Mike, what did you do in Anthem this past week?
So in Anthem this past week, I have no longer been playing the PTS. Moment of silence for the PTS. It was fun, but it's gone now. So I've just been working on trying to get legendaries, trying to build my Javelin up, doing some legendary missions, running some free play, doing some of the crystal, as much of the crystal stuff as we could, doing the dailies that gave you coin and all the decals, which are at least something, which I actually really enjoy that part of it now, being able to jump in, do a specific thing, get an instant reward, that'll change up the look of my Javelin. Plus, it'll give me some coin to work with in case I want to buy some new stuff. So I really enjoyed that part. And then just playing, trying to connect with people and play with them and help them do their things, whatever they want to do, and just having fun with Anthem when I do get on and play.
Right on. Devin, what have you been doing?
What have I been doing? So not too much, but I did do some free play, and it wasn't too bad. It was a little frustrating. We kind of talked about this a little bit before, trying to complete the new objectives or challenges that are in there. So they kind of bugged out today when I was playing. I had completed the daily, for like 20 crystals or whatever. It comes with a decal and some coin. And was 2 away from completing the challenge. I needed of the 60 crystal enemies. I got 58. I completed 2 more world events by myself with the crystals. Killed everyone, and it didn't count anything. So after that, I said, screw you. I'm closing this. No, I mean, it's a lot of fun when I'm playing. It's just, I was playing the PTS a lot, but they closed the PTS. And so playing the regular game right now is almost, I wouldn't say a waste of time, but to me, there's
backwards.
Yeah, it's definitely a step backwards.
It's a step backwards, and
but
you're missing out on stuff. But
I just know of a lot of the stuff that's gonna be there because of the stuff that was in the PTS, and so it's tough going back and playing it. And you're like, oh man, this would be so much better with this, gear piece or this melee attachment or and if it was actually counting towards these things that I know that the new economies and those kind of things that were in the PTS, and
I think that's definitely a good sign that's how we feel having to go back. Meaning the PTS, has some good stuff in it. It really makes the game different. It makes it new, makes it fresh. Hopefully it has staying power, because I know that most of the time that's one of our biggest complaints. We get something new and fun and cool, and then we're looking to, okay, what's next? We've burned through all this content. Now what's next? So hopefully it has some staying power. I think it does. But that's that's to be determined. What are you laughing at?
Steve was so like dope measure.
We've lost Steve. Devin, it's up to you and I.
He's not asleep, but he's just like.
I am actively listening to your comments, so
Did you just say active listening?
No. I think the problem is they left the PTS open for 55 days, right? We never would have thought that it would be open for that long.
I mean, originally they're like, we'll be open for a little bit, then we'll close it and be open again. But then they're like, now we're just gonna leave it open the whole time.
Yeah, and that really makes it to where okay, I guess this has been kind of a permanent fixture for all of us. It's just going to be there, and then when it's gone, it's like, oh, I guess you kind of took something away from us. I mean, they really didn't. I mean, the PTS, hopefully it served its purpose. Hopefully they got enough feedback. They got enough data from the people that were playing that they can make changes that will make the experience better for everyone when it releases on console. I really thought in my heart of hearts, in my doped up heart right now, that we could have started the Cataclysm at the end of what's the month before August?
July.
Yeah. So I really thought that we were going to be in those 2-week periods right now.
Yep.
And I'm disappointed that we're not, because the farther and farther we go, we're getting into big time game release timeframes.
Mm-hmm.
The longer that we wait, and it makes me sad, because if it did release like the tail end of July, we kind of would have had a nice area of, hey, this is the Cataclysm, and then bam, all those games release, and you can play those, right? Yeah, but now it's getting to the point where a lot of people is like, okay, I could be in the Cataclysm, or I could go check out all these new games that are releasing. I know Destiny 2 has been pushed back till October. That gives Anthem a little bit more breathing room, but I mean, there's still a ton of
not much though with Borderlands 3 coming out, September 13th. That's a lot of people are looking forward to playing that. I mean, there's a lot of games to play, and it's gonna be hard, to put in all the time, or for a lot of the people that haven't been playing Anthem, be like, oh, there's some new content, let me check that out, or there's brand new games that I've been looking forward to. What am I gonna do? So I think they're in a tough spot. I'm sure they wanted to get out in that same time frame that you were talking about. Obviously, they had some issues with something, or all of our great feedback from the PTS made them put extra features in or something. I don't know, but
really go through like an overhaul, change stuff.
Yeah, the feedback was so good. They're like, oh man, we gotta hold this back and include all this feedback from all the players, so which could be great. I'm okay with that. If they're like, hey, we need to put this in. There's one thing in currently right now that if you open a war chest, you have a chance to get, something for all the other javelins. We beat this the last time. Hopefully they listened, because if this thing if it's still in the game that you can get items for all the other javelins, like, to me that just puts like the biggest gut punch.
It makes it a waste of time and a waste of your effort. And I know they want to.
Not only that, Devin. I think it communicates to the community that, we heard what you said, but
this is what we're gonna do. So
yeah.
And I mean, they are making the game, right? I mean, they're making the game. They have design decisions, and they have direction that they're trying to take things. And we don't know what else is coming down the pipeline and all these other things. But at the same time, I mean, either tell us why, or communicate to us the reason why this feature is this way, or just have to deal with the backlash from the feature that frustrates pretty much everybody that we've talked to that played the PTS.
But we won't give them that feedback. We're an echo chamber of positivity. So one cool thing that I found on Reddit, so someone posted a Ranger Javelin statue, and I put this up on Mixer for people that are watching on Mixer. It is a 1/6. Well, I don't know how to do it on YouTube, so you're gonna have to do it. So it is a 1/6. I can say that word. I can. The 1/6. I can't say it.
Nope,
scale.
You cannot say it.
It's a sixth.
It's a
It's
6th or a 16th?
Ranger is
I thought it was a
gonna
1/16th.
It's probably a 16th. A 6th is
no,
could
it's
be
one.
pretty large.
It's
1/6.
1/6. Man, I can't. Okay, just go with me, guys. One
So-
slash. Okay. So this, I believe it is from a trade show in Japan. There was not a lot of information on the Reddit when I pulled it off of there. I know there are a couple of companies that produce statues this size. They do a lot of the Marvel stuff. They do a lot of the DC stuff. I think they're called. Shoot. Sorry, guys. Brain Sideshow statues. They produce these really high quality looking statues of all these characters. They range from like $250. Some of them on that website are $1,000. If this Ranger is on sale for like $250, like buying it day one, because I think this thing looks amazing. It's an awesome looking Ranger that, hey, you know what? That's going on the bookshelf. Put it behind glass.
I mean, I
'Cause,
guess I could have bought that, but instead I bought all the stuff from the store.
Yeah, I guess there's that, and you can't really put that.
I can't put that on the shelf.
No, you can't put that on. But I mean, these are the kind of things like if they made just like, even if they made action figure replicas of these things, I mean, they would sell so well because the javelins are the coolest part of the game. Like the javelins are cool, and especially cool because these things are modular. I mean, there's a base javelin underneath each armor suit, so you could just put out a Ranger, sell all the extra bits for it. See, I'm trying to make EA money for some reason. Why am I trying to make them? I don't know. Probably just because I want to buy this stuff. And then you just sell the armor pack separately. It's almost like you would have a store where people could buy the armor that they wanted instead of waiting for a random rotation.
What?
Now that's crazy talk.
Come on
That
now.
is crazy talk.
You just
just
have to
blew my
hope and pray the
That's-
armor you want comes around once every 4 months.
We apologize for Steven. He is heavily medicated.
You don't have to apologize for me. Like,
We're
I
not
mean,
an
I don't-
apologist. All right, Mike.
so,
I
I mean,
apologize
this
for you all the time.
Ranger looks. Is there like a price point that, like, if this hits like $400, you guys like, all right, I'm out. I can't buy that.
I wouldn't even buy it
Yeah.
at 250 or 200. I mean, it's cool. I just, have other things to spend my money on. I guess I don't know. I mean, it's
Groceries.
cool. It is really cool.
It is cool. I think
But-
250 is pretty expensive. If I knew that it was interchangeable and I could put different stuff on it, maybe knowing that. But if it were just a standalone, I'm thinking 125 to 175 maybe.
This thing.
What's it made out of? Is it metal? Is it plastic? What's it made out of? Because that'll play an important part as well.
I am guessing they are. I don't know if they're vinyl, sideshow collectibles. What do they make their stuff out of? Let's see. Pop culture is our culture. Sideshow collectible. Lord of the Rings, Disney, Predator. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Hey, what's going on there? I will find out. You guys keep
Yeah,
talking.
sure. We'll just listen to you as you surf the internet.
I'll just read the internet while you guys are waiting for me. How about that?
Yeah, we're not gonna do that. So Steve will find that out for us, and then we're gonna go ahead and move on because there's
I will. We
so much
actually
more to talk about.
we actually have a call from Phaedron that I'm going to play here. Hopefully this works. And we'll get to hear Phaedron's super tired. Like you can tell this guy's been up all night with the kid. I recorded this in the middle of the night. So, oh, yeah. It says his questions after 11 o'clock. So let's.
What's up, fellow freelancers? It's your fellow freelancer, Phaedron.
See, it sounds like Phaedron's heavily medicated too.
Alliteration. Sorry. What's up, guys? I don't think anyone's ever left a message, or if they have, I don't think I've heard Freelancer Codex guys play that. So I'm calling in because I'm excited for episode 100, and I just wanted to give you guys a good shout out to all the hard work you've been doing. I love listening to the podcast, and I love playing the game. I'm one of the few people, maybe I don't know if it's the silent majority or the silent minority, but whoever still plays Anthem, I still love the game, and I still just love the potential that the game has. And I thought I'd call in and ask you guys a question. So my question is, after the Cataclysm, I know that there's been stuff that have been rumored to come, but if you had to pick one thing for the developers to work on, if you could tell them, hey, I want you to work on this one thing, what would you do? So I want Steven, Mike, Devon, and JD to list off just one thing you would tell the developers to work on if you had the power. I will give you an example. Mine would be for events, strongholds, and missions to be accessible from free play. Get that to work. Give me the promise of a truly open world Anthem where I can just jump off of the walls of Fort Tarsus and go play the game. I just think that'd be so cool. I think that'd be awesome if they could reach that. So anyway, keep on making great content. I love listening to you guys. And anyway, yeah, I look forward to hearing your answers. I don't know if this will work, but we'll see.
Turns out, Adrian, it works perfectly. All right.
But it is always up in the air on whether or not it'll work. So
That's true.
that concern was not unfounded. We
Fair
appreciate you, Phaedron. Get some sleep, buddy.
Poor guy.
It
don't do
is.
drugs,
And don't do. Good job, Steve. Way to throw that in there. So I remember talking about that same thing when we played Destiny. Do you remember that, Devon?
Yep.
We talked about being able to access all of the events through just the open world map.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was cool then, and I seriously think it would be cool now. I'm not a gamer. I'm not a game programmer. So I don't know if it's possible, but if it is possible, yeah, do that. That'd be awesome. No more menus. I think we've been talking about that for way back when. Just no menus. Let us go. I know that there has to be menus. I know that you have to load in all this stuff. So I get that part of it, but that would be fun. That would be super cool. So yeah.
Devin, what do you got?
Shoot, man, that's a tricky question. What do I want? There's just one thing. Oh man, there's a lot of things I want them to do better.
Got to pick one, man.
If I could pick one, shoot. I guess really, they're all saying in loot. We got some loot in the comments here, but yeah, I would love an actual stat sheet to make actual builds, but that involves a lot, in the system. I would love, a system similar to Diablo 3. There's just so many things that are attainable in there that's just more than one thing, as you go up and you have your ancient legendaries, your regular legendaries, and you have all these things that you continue to push and push your gear level and those kind of things, but that requires a whole new loot system, so if I have to choose, I'm going to say a stat sheet because it includes everything else I just asked for. So
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
All these things I want in there. Okay. I was
you have
actually
one,
thinking
Steve?
about this. What? Say that again?
Did you have one?
I do have one. I've been thinking about this for a while today. So one of the things I was thinking about, because actually I had access to this question, so I've been thinking about it. There is, I would have them build something pretty simple because I say it's simple. It would only take them 3 weeks to program this. All right, here's what it is. We come across a merchant in Fort Tarsus. Him and his brother are stopping by. They came in a boat. His brother, I can't remember the names of the characters because it's been so long ago. I think you only interacted with them for maybe 3 different story beats, and I can't find the name of the character in IMDb. So
who were they?
They're the two guys. It was more than 3, but you only met him down in the bar, and you would talk to him.
Yep. So the brother was looking for his younger brother because younger brother wanted to stay in Fort Tarsus and go off, and the older brother there was like a family business of being merchants and sailing the seas in Bastion, selling stuff. And he wanted him to come along. The little brother wanted to stay, and you got to choose, like, hey, you tried to convince him to let the younger brother go on their way, or you had to, or you convinced them that, hey, you got to take your brother because that's what family does. They stick together and they, never let you grow more than what you want. So those were the options of the storylines, and I can't remember what those characters' names were, unfortunately. And it's not
I know
listed
exactly who you're talking about.
There's just a lot of the people in IMDb are listed as additional voices. So anyway, there is a boat. The javelins are actually tethered to the boat so that if there is trouble, the javelins do not fly away. So you're kind of tethered to this boat as you're traveling across the sea. So I would set up a horde mode on this boat out in the middle of the ocean, so you don't have to do a lot of creating a play area. It's like, here's a boat, here's water, here's space, and you could have a bunch of creatures coming from the ocean come to attack the boat, and you have to defend it. So you just have to defend it through waves, right? So defend it through waves, defend it through enemies coming across, other boats that you can board. Maybe you have to defend, some gun emplacements on the boat itself. But you just make your horde mode out there in the ocean super easy to do, because I've programmed so many things. So this is super easy. It would just be another mode, another way to play the game instead of going out into free play or going out into strongholds.
Yep.
And there's a lore reason for it also, because hey, you're tethered to this boat. You can't just fly off into the ocean. You can't just fly off into wherever because you're tied to it. I don't know how you'd actually tie down a javelin. You think with all the weapons and stuff and abilities you have, you'd just be able to break a chain. But I don't know how exactly that works. But that is what I would do. I would want them to create a new mode that includes a stat sheet, includes the ability to go from other into other content, like Mike said, and have more loot. So you get the best of both worlds by doing this one thing. So it's that
3
easy.
weeks, huh?
Alaska says it only takes 2 weeks max. So
Nice.
Just two
just
Nice.
been milking it all this time, right?
Nice.
Trying to get all the hours.
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking about. Just we want new stuff. I don't care
Simple
what
things.
format. It's super simple stuff. We just want the game to reach its full potential. And I really want to explore like those characters and what it means to be a merchant on the high seas when, if you're walking around on, I'm going to sneeze, so you guys are going to have to keep going.
So it's
A merchant on the high seas, huh?
the high seas. It sounds like a pirate.
Interesting.
So it actually, that is a cool idea and neat and stuff, because Steve's all about the story and stuff.
I think a horde mode would work perfectly fine in Anthem. It would be great with just
Yeah.
enemies, spawning in and opening portals and coming in, and I don't see any reason why they shouldn't have it.
Yeah.
So I would like to see, and they've done it in the PTS, is weapons now have more personality, and I want to see more of that. I want to see more weapons and gear and armor having more personality, and having just more of that stuff to customize your look and your javelin and your feel. That's what I would want. I would want that team to keep doing what they're doing, but also to turn out more, even if it looks silly.
Do it
like
faster.
churn it out. Well, yeah, just throw it out there. Somebody, you know what I mean? Because I get bugged that I can't find a helmet for my ranger that I like.
Speaking of helmets for your ranger that you like, so Anthem Archives have been doing some data mining on the recent patch that
the
dropped.
recent
Yeah.
on the recent.
We're gonna finish this out for you guys. A couple of new armor suits. The Colossus has 2 new armor packs that are coming out. The Colossus is kind of interesting that all the armor packs for the Colossus, all the faceplate is just one big giant faceplate. And I kind of want them to move away from just doing the one big giant faceplate for the Colossus, because it seems super one note when you can do some pretty crazy stuff. Like, I don't know, add a giant skull for the Colossus.
Think the reason they do that is because you can put the decals on there a lot easier for UV mapping them and everything, so it looks a lot better because you can have a big image right there.
Yeah.
Versus when it's all broken up. A lot of times on our helmets, for the Ranger, Interceptor, and what do you play? Oh yeah, Storm. They're like, you can't put really a lot on those helmets because they're not very big, and there's a lot of different little parts. And so with the Colossus, they can do that one huge piece, because then they can put a lot more interesting things right there.
I wonder if there's other reasons why that Colossus needs to be just like a big plate too. Maybe.
Well, it's
you know,
supposed to
maybe
be
there's
ghetto,
some computer
right? I mean,
well, yeah, but I wonder if there's like a technical reason why, you know, like I don't think there might be, but you never
There's
know.
not
Maybe
before.
there's just a limitation. Maybe
So
there's some kind of limitation
you
that
don't get
that
shot
it
in the
can't
face.
be.
I think
No, like an actual like tech reason why it
Oh,
can't be
gotcha.
well,
like
that's
they can't
what Devin
build it
said.
into the thing. Well, Devin, I didn't hear him. He talks a lot.
That's fine. I don't listen to him either, but I think
It's rude.
to line up all the decals onto that thing. If that is the reason, I hate that reason because I would rather have cool looking stuff. And you know what? If they have specific decals for specific armor pieces, I would rather them do that instead of trying to map one piece to every single armor piece that is out there. Because you're right, a lot of the helmets, like the new Interceptor helmet that we saw, looks like it has a flat hat on, like it just graduated from Freelancer school.
That's like the ugliest looking armor. Oh my gosh.
On the top of it. But who cares? Like, make like 10 specific decals for that armor, and that's that. Like, we don't need to map every single decal or graphic.
Fried
to every
eggs and stuff on
Fried
top.
eggs.
Yeah, fried egg
just-
decal on top.
I mean, it would be like going through Reddit and you see all the mortar. What are they called? Pestle and mortar boards. They call
Yeah,
that.
Mortar and
right?
pestle is something else.
So they call them mortar boards, and all the people that decorate them with weird things and memes and stuff. That's what the Interceptor can do. Just put a bunch of memes on the top of its helmet, and you're good to go. You
Because
don't
that's
need,
what we want in Anthem.
you don't. You just said
Yes.
throw out anything, even if it's silly. You just said those words. So
Well,
you
but come on now.
don't need to put every decal on every single armor piece. Matter. So what the Ranger has one that came out that's fairly new. It looks like the helmet looks very much like a Predator from the old movie Predators. Ask your parents. And like this armor suit looks cool, and there's a lot of flat surfaces for it, so it would make it really easy to map a lot of this stuff. I'm glad that the Ranger actually has something that looks cool now. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the Ranger stuff, but I'm glad there's variety for everyone because not everyone is going to like everything. It's just not going to happen. Like I don't like every single Storm piece of armor. Most of the chest pieces for the Storm are super bulky, which in my mind like makes no sense because the Storm has trouble flying anyway. So don't make that stuff bulky. And they are changing a lot of the stuff, so there's becoming more variety. And I think it's just hard because we have to wait so long in between each armor set that when you do get it, it's either like, well, this is the only new one that we have, so we have to buy it because I need something different, or well, I guess I have to wait another 2 months before a new armor set for the Javelin I like comes out. What makes it even worse is if you're an Interceptor main, you only have like 6 different armor sets compared to everyone else that I think has around 7 or 8. So extra sucks.
I don't think I've seen 7 or 8 for the Ranger.
There are. I guess you just have to.
I guess I just haven't bought them. I haven't had enough coin at the time. So yeah, we definitely need, and those are those small pieces of content that I don't think, take a lot of time investment. Whereas a story piece, you have to make sure that everything ties in and checks out. And so it seems like something that can be small, but can also make a big difference to how players feel about what's going on. And I think that's important. And like I said, so the Cataclysm the PTS has really done that for me with the new weapons and the different fills and the different interactions that they have, the different projectiles. We're not just shooting bullets anymore. And I love the circular saw guns. Those are so much fun. So I think it's what we've been saying. There are some awesome points that we've seen and some great ideas and things that are super strong. But it just seems to be falling apart a little bit. And so hopefully they get it worked out and get it together because it's a super fun game to play still. And it's got great potential. So.
Yep, Cataclysm soon. All right, so if you have not seen all the different armor sets that have been released, you can jump over into our Discord. We post all the stuff over there in our Discord. We have a link on our website to that at freelancercodex.com. There's a link to our Discord. There's a link to our Patreon page if you want to kick us $1 per month. That's like 25 cents an episode. Where else can you go and get that kind of value for 25 cents? Nowhere. You can't even buy gum anymore for 25 cents.
Take a breath, Steve.
Yeah, can't do it. All right. So on. So there was an earnings call. I don't know how many people are interested in earnings call. I listened to this thing like the whole hour. It was super fascinating. Anthem was only mentioned twice. They only mentioned it in regards to digital downloads. That percentage is rising every year for EA. People are just buying games digitally now. And they mentioned it another time, but nothing in regards to the game. So they hardly even mentioned that it exists. So everything was about Apex, Sims, and FIFA over there, because apparently FIFA makes a lot of money. You know, I'm surprised that we don't have like FIFA jerseys in Anthem, because you could like post these all over the Colossus like they do in, you know, in the MLS, EFL. I don't know what they call it.
It's getting late for Steven. I don't know.
Man, it's getting late.
So real quick, if there's nothing else, guys, I actually had some more lore talk. I know Mike loves it when I talk about lore. He gets.
I love it when you talk about lore, and you're sick, so it's going to be so much better. Everything is going to make so much sense. Buckle yourselves in, folks. We are in for it.
Oh, you
Steve,
hit it. I was trying to find it, and I was like, oh, it's hidden way down here in the document.
Yeah.
So a little
Steve,
bit.
give us your lore take, man. We are excited. We're ready.
I'm ready for this.
Good. Devon, mute Mike.
Anytime you're ready, just give it to us and let us know what we're going to talk about on lore today. You let us know.
I'll give it to you. Are you
Because
done
this
talking?
is the reason I play the game, for the lore and to make all these connections. I am in that codex.
Watch
So deep.
this.
All right, here we go, Steve.
Rusted says Mike is the master of sub. I can't even talk. Subtly. Subtle master of subtleness. That's old Mike.
Super
One
subtle.
time, I was going to tell people what we called Mike in high school, but I'll save that for. All right, so I want to talk about the gateways. I think the gateways are something that doesn't get talked a lot about in the lore of Anthem. So
I
real
certainly
quick,
know I don't. Whew. Glad you're bringing
let's
it up.
come on. All right. Did you take medicine while we weren't looking, Mike? What's going on here? You've been sipping
Right,
some of
I
Grandpa's
promise.
cough medicine, have you?
I promise I'm done. I promise.
are you? I don't believe you.
We'll
So,
see.
gateways. Mike, Devon, what do you guys know about the gateways in Anthem?
Which ones? The ones where
Okay.
you go through, like, you know, the people have disappeared through the gateway. That kind of gateway.
Not that kind of gateway. That's more of a portal. I'm talking
Oh.
about the gateways that cause us humans in the world of Anthem to interact with technology, shaper relics, and their
Oh.
javelins and their ciphers.
Nope. I don't know anything about that.
All right, so I'll give you guys a quick rundown because this is the stuff Mike lives for. So gateways, okay, gateways are an interface that act as a buffer between the human mind and the Anthem of creation, super scientific, making it possible for humans to channel their will into Ember-based technology. Arcanists believe that it was repeated exposure to Ember that possibly brought about the discovery of the gateway. And while the volume of Tarsus begins with the gateway's discovery, it does not specify when it happened in relation to the Legion of Dawn. Okay, so the gateway makes everything possible for humans. Humans can operate javelins. The ciphers can operate the amplifier chairs. And this is kind of why humans were able to rise up, defeat the Urgoth, and get out of slavery, right? The gateways made direct exposure to the Anthem rare, because before, if a cipher would touch the Anthem, they would get lost. And we have stories about the first cipher that got lost in the Anthem, that it can be seen from when ciphers go into the Anthem and they're close to being lost. The cipher, the first cipher, as they call the first cipher, it was a little girl that went in there that they tested on. She can bring people back. She's been said to guide ciphers back out of the link as they're about to lose it. So, but ciphers are often at risk of madness or even death because the gateway seems to behave differently through an amplifier than other technology.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So where do gateways come from? So Ember is the one thing that we constantly are finding out while you're playing the game. It's the one thing that, hey, anytime that there's a chest out there, there's Ember in it instead of sweet, sweet loot that we all really want. There's always a bunch of it, which is kind of disappointing for us if we're
Ember.
So Ember is naturally occurring in the world. It's a dangerous byproduct of the Anthem used as a foundation for human technology. While active Ember can be found in plants and minerals throughout Bastion, it is most bountiful around the engineer city of Helios. Legend has it that the Urgoth enslaved humanity because the Urgoth could not manipulate Ember, whereas humans could. The Urgoth enslaved humanity. We don't have this much history before the Legion of Dawn, just because nothing's written down. The first time we have a lot of writings is from the volume of Tarsus by Gerard, and that came out after Tarsus is dead. So even a lot of the writings in there are suspect to, if that really happened, who wrote it, who witnessed it. So there's a lot of unknowns around this. So if you should find Ember in the wild, it can be harvested to craft remarkable weapons and gear. We're still waiting on that part from BioWare to give us those remarkable weapons and gear that we can actually craft. All right, so when did we start? When did we discover the gateway, and how did it happen? So a human actually discovered it who was in the service of the Urgoth. So for some reason, I just imagine like old Egypt. I mean, a lot of the murals that we have of the Legion of Dawn look very Egyptian. So I just imagine, all the slaves in Egypt at the time, they were, hey, you're going to build this, you're going to do this. And all the Egyptians were kind of the pharaohs and the people keeping that going. Because that's the one connection I have in my mind about that. So upon this discovery, and this person's name was Hrenin, who discovered the gateway. Upon this discovery, he knew what he must do. The Urgoth, hungry to use the Anthem for their own purposes, must never know that humans had discovered the buffer, the gateway they sought. He feigned ignorance to his masters, yet whispered his findings to his apprentice, and they to their own kin, from settlement to settlement, as through many years it carried until it was whispered to Vasa, who possessed the clarity to use this knowledge for the liberation of all humanity. So it's interesting that, we don't know where the Urgoth main cities were. I'm guessing the Urgoth probably had a main hub. But we have no information about that, but we do know that, humans were used as slaves. And eventually someone figured out that, hey, the gateway is the key and humans can harness that. So luckily, Hrenin was smart enough to keep that secret from his masters, sent that information on, and it finally got out to Vasa, who created the javelins, helped create the Legion of Dawn. And this you can find in all this stuff that you can find in the Cortex, right? So they figured out how to make the gateways, and then they figured out that the Urgoth cannot use the gateway. And there's a lot of speculation as why that is, why they're unable to use it. So the Urgoth are probably about the size of a javelin. They're 6-7 foot tall. It seems like they're native to the world just because of the way that they're built. A lot of the poisons, a lot of the natural dangers in Bastion don't really harm the Urgoth. So they're considered one of the early Anzu. The Anzu are the creatures that were actually there on the planet before everything happened. I mean, this is all stuff that you can find, you can read in the lore, and hopefully more of this will come out, because we do know at the end of the critical path, we actually come across an Urgoth. I'm guessing Corvus has probably had access to them long before they find this one. It would be really weird if they find this one Urgoth and they take it right away to us, like the Freelancer. So I'm guessing they probably have a lot of knowledge of this stuff, right?
So
this isn't the first time we're seeing them.
this seems like really similar to Halo with the Covenants and the humans, right? So a lot of the technology, the Forerunner technology, only works with human touch, and humans, can use it, but the Covenant can't really use it, or they have to kind of brute force it, and they can't really get into the technology without breaking it and trying to do a few things. So that is interesting. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some parallels there. So, and inside the Cortex, they kind of talk, there's an Arcanist diary that talks about the Urgoth and why they can't use it. So without Urgoth to test and observe, it's unclear why their race couldn't use Ember to access the gateway. Humans can cross the gateway to tap the Anthem of Creation's power, but there is only speculation about why the Urgoth could not. We know they mastered surviving this world in a way we never could, using their physical might and seeming imperviousness to their dangers. They were mighty, unbending, and unyielding, which some have used to both describe their strength and their inability to use Ember. With no Urgoth to study, it's likely these questions will remain unanswered. So we know that we finally have Urgoth in custody. We at least have a corpse of the Urgoth. So I'm guessing that we are going to go forth and we're going to find out a lot more about what they are, why all this is happening, and everything. So, but one of the questions I still had, because it's not explained at all. So Ember is used to build and power the javelins. John Warner, let us know before the game release that that's how these things are powered. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, so what does the gateway have to do with powering the Ember? And in my mind, I don't know if this is correct or not. Someday we can ask Mark Darrah or Cameron Dayton on the story team, what actually happens. But to me, it seems like there's a mental link between the person using the gateway and to Ember itself, almost like if you had a skeleton made of just Ember and you linked up with it, you should be able to control it. Because we know that there's no microchips, there's nothing really like actually moving the javelins, but I'm guessing that these things are laced with Ember, and that's why it's so important. And it's almost like, hey, this neural link causes this to move. Almost like, you've seen a lot of prosthetics nowadays that, scientists are figuring out ways to get them to move just through neural links and wiring. So that, to me, that's what's happening. Like a freelancer is actually doing that on a smaller scale. If a cipher were to do it, ciphers get super overloaded when they tap the Anthem and they go through the gateway, just because they have more of a connection with it. That's why a lot of the times when Owen went in and stole a javelin, he kind of locked up right away, because they get so much sensory overload that it kind of freezes them up. And there's a Cortex article about that also. It talks about someone like trying to be a cipher and a javelin pilot, and it just doesn't work, because they can sense things like, hundreds of miles away.
Well, I mean,
they're sensing temperature
that's
change.
what the moderator the monitor is. But I mean, it also kind of makes sense with a lot of the dialogue that oftentimes Faye's like, oh, we did a great job and all this stuff, and I'm thinking, yeah, like, you were out here doing anything? But I mean, I thought that today, honestly, when I was playing a free play thing, and she's like, oh, we did so good, we took that whatever out, and I was like, what are you talking like you actually did something? You gave me advice that there's people over here maybe, and but I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe if she's helping to move stuff or help power through the gateway, I don't know. I mean, that makes more sense to me of why she thinks she can take some of the credit from the victory. But otherwise, she should back off. All right.
Yeah, well, a lot of the times, our ciphers are, anytime you throw a grenade or you throw up an ability that causes like this bubble that says, hey, this is where this is going to go. In the lore, that's actually the cipher putting that into your mind, like, hey, this is where this is going to fall. If you aim it here, it's going to fall here. So they're actually helping.
They're making our waypoints. I like it.
They're setting waypoints, and they're doing those things. So it's not just like you said, they're not just talking on a walkie-talkie. So the amplifier chair allows them to do that and do those mathematical equations about, geometry and trigonometry and figure that stuff out. So that's what the cipher's doing. I think, but us as the pilot, we're able to do a little bit of that also and cause that thing to move. That's why I think, Halleck even tells Owen that, hey, just calm down. Your suit's locked up. Just calm down. Because the Ember kind of reacts to your brainwaves. And if you're kind of panicking, it kind of shuts that down because you're not getting those waves to your javelin. So, and then the monitors are actually a class of Lancer cipher that are trained to be able to do this. That's why they're so dangerous. So there's more monitors out there, and I'm guessing we'll meet up with more of them in the future. So that's just a quick little lore rundown. I know Mike loves those a lot.
It was good lore tonight. I enjoyed it. I learned quite a bit and get to connect more dots. So I enjoyed it.
And there's quite a bit more that I still need to study about the gateways and the ciphers, because I always like, well, how do these things even move? There's no microchips. There's no like computer like saying, hey, if I move the right arm, it moves. So it's all being done through this. I'm guessing there's a skeleton of Ember that we're able to control. So hopefully we'll be able to see or read more about that in the future. Right, Mike? The mic just bent.
I love it. No, I'm here. It was good. It all connects. It's all making sense.
It all makes sense. All right, Mike. So I want to know one thing that you were interested in knowing lore-wise so that I can prepare for it next week. One topic you're like, I want to know more about the Gravits. Or I want to know more about making Koroks soup out of
Koroks wipes?
Apparently, milk.
Woo!
How long have you been on that one?
Just then, it came to me.
Classic. Chat, what do you guys want to hear about next week? Since Mike is always willing to divulge that information so readily.
Oh, you want me to come up with a topic of lore?
That's what it means when he says, hey, Mike, what would you like me to talk about lore-wise next week?
Oh. I'm
Yeah,
good.
I think, let's see. We talked about the Taki sword. We went some more into that. Let's see.
Let's talk about beer next.
What did you say?
Nothing.
Talk about what?
The talking spear.
The talking spear. The spear.
You don't know about the talking spear?
I guess we're gonna find out next week.
Jay says he would like to learn more about the ciphers, so I'm gonna do a lore thing about ciphers next.
Alaska says there are stories about the 3 dudes. I can't remember their names.
Oh, the Freelancer 3. So I am close to compiling all the Freelancer 3 stories and put them in order. When I do that, we will do a lore dump on the Freelancer 3.
Big old lore dump, right?
The old lore dump. Make sure you have your Koroks wipes. But
Quality entertainment. This is worth a quarter.
Man.
I tell you, this is worth a quarter.
That's what I'm saying, Devon. All right. So next week, Phaedron, how javelins are manufactured. That is a good question. You know, I haven't read anything about the actual manufacturing of javelins. It talks about them building the Legion of Dawn javelins, but it doesn't say like where they got the materials. We know corium is used, and corium is pulled from the heart of a titan at times, but we don't know exactly how everything is manufactured. So we'll learn more about that. But we'll do ciphers next week, and I'll dive into more of the Cortex so that we can get all this sweet information. All right, everyone, chat, Mike, Devin, this has been episode 97 of the Freelancer Codex podcast. I'm your host, Steve, and we are signing off until we see you next time for episode 98. Man, we are close to 100, so we will.
100.
Hopefully, the Cataclysm will be out before 100, but hey, cross your fingers. So until next time, freelancers, there's a horizon on the storm.
There's a horizon in the shaper.
Thanks for hanging with us, guys. We'll catch you later.
You can find us on Twitter at Freelancer Codex,
Bye-bye.
on Facebook, Freelancer Codex, or through email at freelancercodex@gmail.com. Join the Discord through the link provided at freelancercodex.com. Our show will always be free, but if you'd like to send some support, you may do so at patreon.com/freelancercodex. Our individual Twitter handles are at Stephen Lamson, at mlamson25, at Neverfear, and at JD the Joke Dealer. Freelancers, it's time to get to work.